Oh, that was an interesting press conference. We're used to seeing White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt in the briefing room, but now, because she's on maternity leave, and any day she is expected to have her second child, so today Trump had to find someone else to brief reporters, and you saw it. Who did the president tap? The man of many hats with many jobs, Secretary of State Marco Rubio. So how did Rubio do in his new gig?
There's no way I can figure out who to call on. I'm just going to like press right in the middle, right there. You right there, yeah. In the back row.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I'll go to you next. All right, go ahead. You right there.
Secretary.
Yeah, you. I wish I knew your name,
thank you
guys.
so much,
I apologize. Can you put name tags on?
Besides answering all the questions that he was asked, Rubio did get some laughs. Not only that, he served as, this is interesting, a translator.
Como dice en la página del Departamento de Estado.
La política de Estados Unidos en ese tema no ha cambiado, y cuando cambie te dejaremos saber. The politics of the United States on that, the policy of the United States on that topic hasn't changed. When it does, obviously we'll inform you, but I don't have any news for you on that today.
It's so often we see the President Trump in the afternoon. We don't get to see Secretary of State Marco Rubio very often, and his name often pops up in 2028, although he said he's not going to run if the vice president's going to run. But he does, but he did a great job. You have to admit, taking questions from the press, and the press seems to ask him fair, tough questions, and he seems to like and enjoy it. So keep your eyes on Secretary of State Marco Rubio, see what happens in 2028. But today he's answering all the questions for the administration on the all-important stuff about the war, about Iran, taking questions about Cuba, taking questions about China. He didn't dodge any questions. He spoke about his upcoming trip to see the Pope in the Vatican. So today, first experience. I don't know if he'll be there tomorrow, but so far today, he did a good job in his many hats. He has so many jobs in this administration. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. We're going to take a quick break, and coming up, the update on the deadly Hantavirus. Now the World Health Organization is saying something different. Find out when the record continues.
Simparica Trio protects against 3 categories of parasites.
Power of disease.
This drug class has been associated with neurologic side effects, including seizures. Use with caution in dogs with or without a history of these disorders. Don't just protect, triple protect.
It's 2 a.m., your fever spiked and you're miserable. Here's your options.
Urgent care, closed. ER, slammed, and you'll spend hundreds of thousands in both. Telehealth, yeah, but the pharmacies are closed.
That's the reason why we keep emergency medical kits at home.
It has doctor-prescribed medication like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other antibiotics and antivirals. You can treat flu, pneumonia, strep, sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
Because if you're sick in at night, traveling or stranded, you don't want options.
You want what is inside this kit. No waiting, no pharmacy, and no copays.
Just schedule a quick telehealth call.
And that's how you feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
Every family should have this kit, and here's how to order yours.
Order online in minutes and use the promo code to save $45. Your doctor-prescribed kit ships fast to your door, packed with medications to treat over 30 conditions. So when something hits, you're ready. And a wellness company telehealth doctor is always there if you need guidance.
Total Beats, America's best-selling Beats brand, is available at Walmart. Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews contain a key ingredient clinically shown to deliver 2 times better blood pressure support. Take control of your health. Head to Walmart and get Total Beats blood pressure support soft chews today.
That's right, we have an update alert today. The World Health Organization says it believes that there is a rare human-to-human transmission of the hantavirus on a cruise ship.
We do believe that there may be some human-to-human transmission that's happening among the really close contacts, the husband and wife, people who've shared cabins, et cetera. So again, our assumption is that has happened, and that's why we are operating and working with the ship to make sure that anyone who is symptomatic, anyone caring for patients is wearing full personal protective equipment. The medical personnel who have boarded the boat have brought additional PPE as well. So that's our working assumption. But just, again, contextually, hantaviruses don't typically transmit that way. It's really a rodent infection.
As of last night, there are now 3 deaths on board the ship and 4 sick people. WHO has confirmed one of those who died did have the hantavirus. No update on the other. The company that owns the cruise ship says 2 crew members on board right now require urgent medical care, but don't explain or know their illness. The company, as well as the WHO, believes someone was infected with the virus before boarding the ship. Meanwhile, on April 1st, the ship began its journey from Argentina. Since Sunday, the cruise ship has been stranded near Cape Verde, where it still remains. Spain has agreed to receive the hantavirus-stricken ship. The owners of the ship say discussions are being held. It's unclear where the passengers will be disembarking or the ship where it will be going next. Former Air Force flight surgeon, CEO of Bespoke Concierge Medicine, Dr. Zaid Fadul. Nice to see you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
The WHO says now that the working assumption is that it might be person to person, which, you know, I know everyone, they're scientists and they're doctors and everything, but when you got 2 people who've been staying in the same cabin, a husband and a wife, I think the husband, I don't know if the husband was diagnosed as having it, and now the wife has also died. You know, I don't know, it seems more of a working assumption.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very realistic. I mean, it's hard to discern between the 2 of them because they were probably doing the exact same excursions, exposed to the exact same source. So, you know, hantavirus can be transmitted in very, very close contact with one of the subtypes, but I think it's reasonable at this point.
Why don't they think there's rodents on board? I mean, they're so quick to say there was something they had picked up in Argentina and there may be a different strain in Argentina, but it's not like it's so unusual that a rodent would be on board a big ship that size.
I can't assume that there was a rat on board, but I can say that because where they went in the Andes, they were having an outbreak. I mean, there was news about this from Pajo just a month ago. They put everybody on notice that, hey, this is a concern if you're going to that endemic area. So I think it's much easier to make that assumption. I think when you have a cruise ship like that, it's certainly possible, but I don't think it's likely just because of the amount of people that are there, how often they're cleaning and turning over those ships. You know, I'd like to believe that there's a high level of hygiene practice there.
Well, I mean, I'd like to think that too, but then you see there have been other viruses on ships that have spread, and maybe by aerosol spread human, you know, or droplets or something. But you know, it's not like they haven't been petri dishes of other viruses. So naturally, you know, I don't know that I would think that that's a possibility that there is a rodent on board.
It's possible. I think the challenge with cruise ships is you have so many people in such a small confined space, all breathing the same air, all engaging with each other in really close quarters for a prolonged period of time. So if somebody comes on that ship and they're sick, they can easily spread something to somebody else.
How do you treat it?
Hantavirus is very challenging. There's no treatment for it. There's no vaccine to prevent it. We do a lot of supportive measures. We do things, if somebody's having a hard time breathing, we can intubate them. Their blood pressures commonly will start to drop, and we can give pressors to raise their blood pressure back up. The goal here is really just to keep them alive as they work their way through it.
And there's no other way to sort of stem that virus from replicating. I remember, I mean, even like a Tamiflu or when the COVID was out, there was a remedy to sort of stop the replication of the virus throughout your body. There's no such thing for this, at least not right now?
No, not right now. Unfortunately, I mean, the cases are so few and far between. You don't have the research dollars put in to try and figure that piece out. The best thing, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So it's all about preventing the infection in the first place. And if somebody gets it and they're at high risk, they'll be, you know, sent to the ICU to try and support them as they work their way through it.
Why isn't it considered, or why is it rare, human to human?
It's the way it's transmitted. So a lot of times it's about aerosolized virus. And so if it's sitting in mouse feces or something like that, and you're sweeping it up, it goes into the air for about 30 minutes, and you walk by and you breathe it. When you and I are breathing on each other, the virus, typical virus of the hantaviruses, are not in they're just not in our breath. It's just the way it infects. It goes into our cells. It doesn't really come out from our lungs. So that's why you don't see it with the majority of them. The Andes virus variation of hantavirus does have that, but it's the only one so far.
But you walk into a department store and and you walk into the first floor where they have a perfume department. The whole store smells like perfume because of the aerosol. So I mean, the particles are so small they're staying in the air. I mean, these particles are not suspended in the air. Like, I mean, it's unbelievable. And the perfume stays in the air.
You know, it is unbelievable, but they're designed to do that. Right. And so with these viruses, obviously, they can hang out, but typically within 30 minutes of opening a room and letting air come in, it'll disperse. Each aerosolized particle is different. They have different weights. They have different suspension times. And so it's hard to compare perfume. It's an easy and obvious comparison, but it's hard to actually compare the two. So.
Well, it's one of the terrible things on top of the fact that it caused death. And it's so, by the way, what is the mortality rate on this?
35 to 38%. I mean, literally 1 in 3 people who picks this up is going to perish. There is some light at the end of the tunnel there, though. If you're in an ICU and you're in that window where all of a sudden your systems are crashing, patients, about 2 out of 3 of those in imminent risk of death can survive on ECMO, which is a very robust procedure to keep people alive. We're literally breathing for patients and circulating blood for them. But it's very challenging. It's very expensive. It's very difficult to get access to that, especially when you're a cruise ship in the middle of nowhere.
And of course, the hysteria that naturally results from this. I mean, we've seen it with Ebola. We've seen it with COVID. We know nobody wants to accept a ship where they think that it might be contagious. So we've got all that problem, even though it's a particularly rare disease and it might not be human to human, and it's unlikely you're going to get it. So I mean, there's all that. I mean, that's a problem.
Sure. I don't think you don't need to be hysterical about it. It's a low transmission rate. You have to be in really close quarters for a long period of time with intimate contact if it were human to human. And so people on that cruise ship, I recognize it. But once you get past that gestation period and you're not infective, you're not infective. So they just have to isolate those people for a little while longer.
I suppose sleeping on the deck in one of the deck chairs might not be a bad idea if you're really nervous.
Depends on your marriage, I would imagine.
That too. Anyway, Dr. Zaid Fadul, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And it's time for our outrage of the day. Check your calendars, May 19th, that's when starting. Delta Airlines will no longer offer food and beverage service on 450 daily flights. This will apply to flights that are 349 miles or less. Although first-class flyers will still receive full-service food and drinks regardless of the distance of the flight. A Delta spokesperson told the media, quote, beginning May 19th, as I noted, Delta is adjusting onboard beverage service to create a more consistent experience across our network, end quote. Since 2015, Delta has not offered food and beverage service on flights under 250 miles. And now this new change of no service, Delta sugarcoats by calling it adjusting. Coming up, this sounds mysterious. The feds pay a visit to a political candidate, and it was all on camera.
We are going to live stream this Secret Service FBI agent coming in.
What prompted that? You'll find out. Plus, did we just get a hint who could be running for president in 2028? That when the record continues.
Wake Up America Weekend.
Good morning, I'm Kyle Lauder.
And I'm Kenzie Beach.
It's a Wake Up Weekend with Kyle and Kenzie.
We're here to help kickstart your weekend.
Grab your coffee and join us at 7 a.m. only on Newsmax.
Forget the warm-up. DirecTV got hot. They're on fire with more MLB games than anyone.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
How old are you?
11.
Nobody wants to put a new roof over their head. It's too expensive. And if they can extend the life of that roof and get 5 more years or 10 more years, it's a no-brainer.
What RoofMax does is it helps people in that they don't have to spend that $15,000, $20,000 on a new roof. They can spend pennies on the dollar.
The RoofMax product was a small percentage of cost of replacing a roof.
Get your roof treated now, but pay later, with no payments for a full year.
At Omaha Steaks, we do burgers differently. We take a premium aged steak like this and turn it into a pure ground burger like this. So this is actually a ribeye. This is a New York strip, top sirloin, beef brisket, and this is a filet mignon. For a limited time, our Burger Perfection flight comes with 20 big juicy burgers, all for just $79.99. Get it today at omahasteaks.com/TV. This is Burger Perfection, guaranteed.
I'm seeing more and more people in their 40s and even in their 30s starting to prioritize their cholesterol health. They're doing what they can with diet and exercise, but want something more. Human Cholesterol Health Daily is that something more. A multi-action formula with plant-based ingredients backed by 3 clinical studies that demonstrate real measurable support for cholesterol and vascular health. Founded in partnership with the University of Texas, this is modern-day cholesterol support I wish more people knew about. Only human.
Did you hear about Shield, that test for colon cancer? No, what? It's just a blood test. No. Exactly.
Shield is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about FDA-approved Shield.
This isn't your average pill. This is Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks.
Rose Sparks is a fast-acting solution because it dissolves under your tongue. Rose Sparks. Guys, get started today.
Connect with a provider to find out if Rose Sparks are right for you.
At Allegiance, we do it differently. Flags 100% made in America by Americans with American materials.
We're proud to create jobs right here in South Carolina. It might not be the easiest way, but it's the right way.
We make American flags the way they should be made, where they should be made.
Join our pledge to keep the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to get your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
Honey, Mortgage Bunny 6 says we should keep renting.
Mortgage Bunny 6?
Reba says more realtor agents recommend Realtor.com. They track every market so you know when to make your move.
He also says that Bigfoot... Got it.
Make it real with Realtor.com.
If you still have bad breath by lunchtime, your mouthwash isn't working. Smart Mouth is the only mouthwash that prevents bad breath for 24 hours. This is the only mouthwash I recommend. Upgrade your mouthwash to Smart Mouth today and never have bad breath again.
As we noted, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who is a man of many hats, he multitasks, delivered the White House briefing today. Foreign Affairs correspondent Alex Salvi was inside that briefing room. Alex.
Yeah, Greta, a potential showdown is taking shape in the Middle East. The secretary just speaking about that, speaking on President Trump's willingness here to try to reach a diplomatic agreement with Iran, but still warning that any Iranian attack on U.S. vessels, as he put it, will be met with an overwhelming show of force, while Iran, in the meantime, is vowing to target any American personnel that do enter that region. Now, what we do know is that U.S. Central Command confirming that 2 U.S. flagged vessels successfully passed through the Strait of Hormuz under so-called Project Freedom. Commander Brad Cooper telling reporters that Iranian forces launched missiles, drones, and small boats in response, targeting both commercial and U.S. Navy assets, with the threats being repelled by American defenses. Now, President Trump saying that 7 small Iranian boats were destroyed on Monday, warning that Iran will be, quote, blown off the face of the earth if the hostilities continued. He's calling on South Korea to join the effort after one of its cargo ships was damaged in an attack, with Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaking from the White House just a few moments ago, detailing the importance of this initiative.
Look what they're doing with the Straits right now. They're holding the whole world hostage. They have these sailors, on commercial ships that are going to starve to death out there. They don't care. They don't care that this is melting down the economies around the world, even of their own allies. This is what they're doing with the Straits. What do you think they would do if they had a nuclear weapon? They would hold the world hostage with that nuclear weapon. That's what they would do. They would do exactly to the world with a nuclear weapon what they're doing now with the Straits.
Now, Secretary Rubio insisting that the blockade of Iranian ports will continue as Project Freedom is intended to restart global shipping. The operation involving a large U.S. military presence, including more than 100 aircraft, 15,000 service members, and other high-end technology. The goal, to create a defensive umbrella in hopes that cargo ships will feel confident passing through the Strait in a safe and a consistent manner. And we've heard, Greta, from both President Trump as well as Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, saying that the U.S.'s conduct from this point forward will largely be determined on how Iran responds to Project Freedom. Greta?
Alex Salvi at the White House. Thank you, Alex. Yes, the midterms, my favorite, midterm alert. And we're going to go to my home state of Wisconsin. A very controversial candidate is running for governor. Meet Kurt Bangstad. He owns the Minocqua Brewing Company. Why do I describe him as controversial and not something like gentleman? Simple answer. Bangstad has repeatedly said he will pour free beer the day President Trump dies. After the assassination attempt of President Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, his brewery posted, quote, either a brother or sister in resistance needs to work on his marksmanship, or he faked another assassination to get a positive news cycle. We will never know. Regardless, we stand at the ready to pour free beer the day it happens, end quote. Well, as I'm sure you guessed, his post alarmed the feds, so much so that this past Thursday they turned up at his brewery.
Do you know anyone who wants to provide support to do the things that I just listed off of, either kill, kidnap, or inflict bodily harm on the president or vice president?
Absolutely not.
The feds say the investigation is ongoing. By the way, the field for Wisconsin governor is a very crowded one. Speaking of crowded fields, the jockeying for the White House in 2028 is already getting underway.
So, are you going to run for president? Who knows? Like, you never know. I'm 40. I'm in my mid-40s. 28, maybe beyond that. I think that there's a lot of runway. I think what I will be able to say just from our party, Republican Party, is who took a state that had more Democrats than Republicans by 300,000 when he got elected, and now has 1.5 million more Republicans.
Governor DeSantis' term as governor of Florida ends in January. That is 1 year before the traditional start of the presidential primaries. CPAC Chairman Matt Schlapp joins me. Matt, let's first start about the great state of Wisconsin, which doesn't have such a great situation with this candidate running for governor.
Yeah, I guess I'd be a little harsher. I think that's just despicable. I mean, this is the problem.
It's horrible.
This rhetoric is way over the line. I made a joke one time at an airport about a bomb, and they take it seriously. You can't joke about these things. So for Jim Comey to say 86-47 and this guy to say he's going to pour free beer, they're just doing nothing but encouraging some crackpot to take another shot at Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what is wrong with this guy? I mean, it's like,
yeah.
It really is, it's unthinkable.
And why aren't all the Democrats calling him out?
Yeah, why?
They're just silent.
If he gets one vote, I think one vote is disgraceful.
Well, Greta, I do know your home state because I spent some time there.
Yeah.
He's going to get more than one vote.
Yeah, well, there are other Democratic candidates they could choose from, not one who's making light of assassination attempts. Anyway, all right. Governor DeSantis, he's up in January. He's touting the fact that he moved a state from 300,000 down. Democrats were up over Republicans, and now he's 1.5 million Republicans over Democrats.
An amazing transformation of Florida. Ron DeSantis has done an amazing job. I think he will run for president. I think he should be giving President Trump a lot of credit for changing from New York City to Palm Beach. I think that had a lot to do with people deciding that Florida is the right place to be. And how about the crazy policies, COVID policies, that drove everybody out of these blue states and realizing it wasn't safe to be in them anymore.
At a largely unpopular time, too.
Yes,
right.
I
mean, now, of course, I think a lot of people might agree with DeSantis, but when he first did
he was bold.
It was bold.
Keeping schools open, keeping daycares open. This mind virus of the left has now infected the Commonwealth of Virginia, where this new governor who said she ran as a moderate is doing everything the hard leftists want her to do, and America is sorting itself red to blue.
I did think, we got a good look at Secretary of State Marco Rubio this last hour.
He's very, very talented guy.
Well, he's also sort of fun as he makes jokes at himself and everything. So he appears, at least to me, to be very likable. I've interviewed him a number of times when he was U.S. Senator, when he was actually not as fun-loving as he now seems to be. He seems to enjoy this job a lot more, and he's got a lot of jobs. He's all over the internet with memes as well. It's going to be the Republicans have sort of a wealth going into 2028 because they have DeSantis, they have Vice President Vance. They have Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said he won't run if Vance does. I don't know if I believe that. But they've got a couple governors.
Youngkin of Virginia.
Yeah, they have
and many others. Really, I think it's going to be a big field. It was a big field when Ronald Reagan stepped aside. In 1988, George Herbert Walker Bush eventually won, but there was big questions as whether Bob Dole was going to get that nomination. We had, in 2016, Trump came out of it, but boy, that was a big field, and I think we're going to have a big field again. I mean, what does it really harm someone who's a national leader to give it a shot? Run for president. You get more famous. Sometimes
you put a lot of dents in the party, I think, in any given party. I mean,
yeah, but for them, I think they're incentivized to say, hey, if this schmo could be president, I could be president.
Right, but the ones we're talking about, DeSantis, Vance, and Rubio, are in this day and age are relatively young men. To be president of the United States now, President Reagan and now President Trump has set a new bar for age.
I will say this, and I'm not attacking any of those three people, but Barack Obama, I think, taught a lot of us a lesson again, which is you can fall in love with branding and image and the idea that there's something about youth and vitality that makes, we feel like it's good for America to have that be our leader. But when it comes to doing the job, it's the worst job in the world. It's the toughest job in the world. You gotta really draw upon experience, and when you're in your 40s, that's hard.
But DeSantis, like him or not, he has experience as a governor. Rubio has experience. I mean, senator's experience is not so much akin to being a president, but he's been a secretary of state. He's managing a lot of situations there. I think that Vice President Vance is in the weakest spot if you're looking at experience, because the vice president, unless he hits a home run with this fraud stuff, is that vice presidents don't typically have much of a portfolio so they can show themselves off, because they're just basically waiting to see what happens.
My take on JD is he gets the toughest scrutiny because he looks like he's the successor. I think Rubio gets the most hagiography, all this positive press, because he's been the darling of what we call the neocons in our movement. He's been the darling of kind of like when he ran last time, a lot of the donor class loved him. But, he's really earned a lot of credit from MAGA voters with the way he's done this job and the way he's been loyal to Trump. So it's a hell of an interesting race. It's going to be a big, interesting field.
But the MAGA thing is also interesting because there is, I don't know if you agree, but there is a splinter in the MAGA field. I mean,
yes.
You've got Marjorie Taylor Greene
There's
out there.
There's not one split. There's many.
There are many splits, yes. It was no longer one happy party.
That's right.
It's like, there's a lot of division. When you have a lot of division, then the votes go 10 different directions.
And I think a lot of people are being selfish. They thought we built this coalition. We could rebuild it any Tuesday of any week. And so if you want to go attacking other members of the coalition, what are the consequences? And the consequences are we're going to turn it over to the communists. This Democratic Party is not the old Democratic Party. This is a socialist, Marxist, aggressive leftist party. And if we lose to them in 2028 because we're fighting with each other, shame on us.
Well, the thing I think that Marjorie Taylor Greene's faction is America first. That's Tucker Carlson, America first. But it's really, how do you define America first? America first has got to exist in the world. And for instance, hypothetically, Iran has a nuclear weapon. That's really, America's going to have a hard. I mean, that really changes all the dynamics in the world. And so this America first business. America first may be to take care of the scourge to the globe.
See, I never took America first as isolationist. I took America first to mean that we don't have to pay for all the world's problems, and we don't have to put America last, and we can put our taxpayers on an equal playing field with the competitive countries all over the globe who we do business with. And I think Marjorie Taylor Greene and others viewed this as we will go inward and we won't be involved in the world. And it's dangerous because if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, I mean, Marco Rubio is going to go meet with the Pope. You ought to remind the Pope that there's proof that Iran's missile technology can get close to Italy. So, this has become a very serious thing for these Europeans if they don't take the appropriate steps to make sure a jihadi government doesn't get a nuclear weapon.
And I think also the fact that it would have been more helpful to President Trump if some of our allies like Britain and France and Germany were right there with the president, and they were not.
Yeah, or maybe be quiet and maybe let us use the airspace even if you disagree with the policy. I mean, this is what allies do. And the thing is are we doing this for our national defense? We're America. We're much further away. They're the ones who are vulnerable. And once again,
then you're back to that's not America first. Although I look at the fact that I think it's a globe first when it comes to nuclear weapons.
Well, and you brought it up on the show before too. It's like they might not be able to hit the mainland of America, but they could hit our military bases. They could hit other targets that are would be destabilizing to our economy and to our country. So I think the president is right to draw a line in the sand on no nuclear weapon for Iran. I don't want troops there. I don't want this to be a protracted war. I have a hangover from what happened with the president I served in Iraq. We want to not replicate the mistakes of those policies, but we cannot have Iran with a nuclear weapon.
Matt Schlapp, CPAC. Nice to see you, Matt.
Thank you, Greta.
An event at a taxpayer-funded Texas water park is facing tons of criticism. Why? Well, because the June 1st event was advertised for Muslims only. You can see the original advertising flyer. Look at the top right. It reads, Muslim-only event. But after backlash and calls of discrimination, the event's organizer told the New York Post she is changing the advertising. Now the updated flyer says on the top right, modest dress only. It had the following line, quote, come and celebrate Eid with us. You are all welcome, end quote. Eid is an Islamic holiday Water park spokesperson says the event is not hosted or organized by Epic Waters. That's the name of the water park. Spokesperson for the water park said, quote, with all rentals, the hosting entity, not the water park, determines the event's programming, end quote. Coming up, you are not going to believe this next news story, but it's true. Get ready when the record continues.
Greg Kelly over at Newsmax. The Newsmax people have been really terrific. Newsmax has been terrific.
President Trump is right. Millions are watching Newsmax and Greg Kelly. Tune in tonight.
I wish I wasn't afraid to smile.
I wish I could get implants.
I wish I knew who to trust.
I'm not looking for another quick fix.
I want a smile I know will last.
Clear Choice smiles are made to stand the test of time. They're built by dental implant experts, backed by 20 years of pioneering research and a lifetime warranty on premium arches. Our smiles are built for life. Schedule your free consultation today.
Larry was in a really bad accident and broke his neck in the line of duty.
I get a phone call early one morning from the Tunnel Towers Foundation. Said, we're going to provide you and your family with a smart home. At that time, I just almost just passed out. I just couldn't believe it.
They heard his story, which means someone's out there listening.
By giving $11 a month, you're joining us on our mission to do good. Go to T2T.org now.
I'm Yalmer Heinrich. I'm in the nutritional business, primarily selling plant-derived minerals. Now, after being in this business for 43 years, owning a cancer hospital in Mexico, and associating with some of the most knowledgeable nutritional people in the world, I came to this conclusion. The world is sick due to a lack of minerals in our food, which is caused by a lack of minerals in topsoil. There is an incredible and proven nutritional product on the market that can overcome this problem. It's Immuno 150. This unusual food supplement contains 70 plant-derived minerals and 80 additional nutrients. There's nothing like it. Now watch the 3 videos on our website and place your order for what may be the best food supplement in the world. Now Immuno 150 is different, it's real, it's powerful, it's helped thousands, and we believe it enjoys the highest reorder rate in the industry. Thank you and God bless.
Forget the warm-up. DirecTV got hot. They're on fire with more MLB games than anyone.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
How old are you?
11.
What if you're sick at home or traveling and can't get medical help or prescriptions? Doctors say a medical emergency kit is the answer. Joining me is Dr. Drew.
Thank you. And yes, these kits put you in charge of your health. They come with physician-prescribed medication to treat multiple common and some serious issues as well.
What are some examples?
Sure. Generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, other essential antibiotics and antivirals that treat flu, pneumonia, strep, ear infections, sinus infections, urinary tract infections, and more.
So it is like urgent care and a pharmacy at home?
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications.
How do you know what medicines to take?
You just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Sound advice. Order online in minutes at the website below and save $45. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
I don't know, but I think my next guest is bionic. Well, one thing, though, I do know is he is inspirational. Listen to this. 60-year-old Maryland businessman and stage 4 cancer survivor Tom Green has joined McDaniel College's Division III football team as a walk-on. His age is enough of a surprise, but there's more. In 2015, Green was diagnosed with stage 4 kidney cancer. He had tumors stretching from his skull to the tail of his pancreas, but after years of treatment, clinical trials, and fighting, in 2018, Green was declared, you ready for this one? Cancer-free. So now more to this story. Fast forward to today. Green is following his dream of going to college. He's a communications major at McDaniel College in Maryland. He's also the oldest college football player in the history of college sports. So I'm so lucky. Tom Green joins me. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
What a crazy, wild story.
It is a wild story. Only one that God could write.
It's just so nuts. You had stage 4.
Stage 4 kidney cancer. Yep. 8 tumors throughout my body. And it's just, it's just been a wonderful testimony to be able to live out and just to be able to thank God to get to the other side of things.
How did you know you really had cancer?
Well, I'd lost 20 to 30 pounds within the first month. And I knew, because I was a heavy weightlifter, and I knew something was going on because my weights dropped dramatically. I couldn't bench, 185 pounds. It was hard for me to do that, and I'm used to benching, 315 to 350 at the time, and all of a sudden my weights just dropped significantly. I said something's wrong.
So what did you take? I mean, and the reason, it's unbelievable that you're playing college football at age 60. I get that, but most people are more worried about the cancer for a second. So what was the cancer treatment?
The cancer treatment was Yervoy Opdivo. It was Ipi-Nivo. It's what they called it at the time. It was in a phase 3 trial, and I was right at the tail end of it. Well, when I first got diagnosed, I went onto a site called Smart Patients. And when I went on to Smart Patients, it was actually like-minded people and had the same type cancer I did, renal cell. It was, but mine was stage 4. And I kind of followed along to their stories. And I knew the trial that I wanted to take. And, as soon as it came available, that's what we jumped into.
And how long did it take?
It took about 3 months.
And how many shots?
4 shots.
That's crazy. Good for you. Wow. Anyway, all right. Now, the other crazy part, you're going to, I hope, be a college football star. You walked on?
Yes, I did.
And what did everyone looked at you when you walked on? I bet they did look at you. And they said, they think you were the coach?
Yeah, well, that's actually what some of them called me the first couple of days.
And so when did you walk on? Just recently, or?
No, that was last season.
So you played a season?
Yeah, so last season I kind of tweaked my Achilles, and then this season I'm out, I'm out, and I did spring ball with the team, because last season I didn't do spring ball.
Are you any good?
No, we're going to see.
At what position you play?
Defensive tackle at the time, but as much as running as the coach wants me to take, I think I'm going to wind up at defensive end because I'm going to lose a lot of weight.
And why did you want to play football?
It's still in me. It's just in me. I got to give a shout out to DeMonte and Montez Chapman. These two young men, DeMonte Gifford and Montez Chapman Jr., these guys taught me throughout the wintertime the playbook. And David R. has been there beside me, and those guys have taught me and kind of watched me through, and they kind of mentored me a little bit and helped me to understand the playbook, because that is one big thing in today's game. Today's game, you better know the playbook.
So what's it like when you walk out on the field? I mean, when everyone sees you?
Well, that's, the team's used to it.
Yeah, no, I got the team's used to it. The college, I mean, the students?
Yeah, the students, they're all cheering for me, and they're kind of patting me on the back here and there. So it's a good feel.
How are your grades, by the way?
Oh, okay. Can we keep talking about the students?
You don't want to talk about your grade. I mean, I imagine you have to maintain a grade point, don't you, to stay in the game?
Yeah, you do. You have to have a 2.0. I'm right about there.
What are you studying?
Well, I was into communications, but I think I'm going to go back to that because I went through political science, and Tommy at political science in a liberal arts school, it just doesn't. Ow.
So you basically started your life over.
Yeah. Well, I kind of know. I'm kind of doing it just for the football thing. I have my own company, Northeast Pallet. We have a manufacturing automation of wooden pallets. My son's running a business for me right now as I'm doing this venture. And, we're highly successful in that business. And, so I wanted to do the football
I think
thing.
we should also give a shout out to your wife because, probably imagine a lot of attention in you. I mean, because it's amazing what you've done. It's amazing what you've been through. But the wife always ends up being the caretaker.
Well, it says in Proverbs that godly wife is like special, like rubies, and that's what I got. My wife is the best. I mean, she is the most precious. She's more precious than any kind of ruby I could have ever gotten, or any kind of gold. We've been married, we'll be 39 years this year. So.
And so, I mean, she must have been worried like crazy. Now she's worried you're going to, break your leg or something, but.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's just worried about me mentally.
But going through that stage. Anyway, all right. Well, it's an extraordinary story. I'm gonna watch the games now. I'm gonna see how you do. Are they stream? I hope they're streamed or something. I'll check the scores.
They do.
Anyway, good luck. You might need a little. You can always get a tutor for the school stuff. Anyway, if you need. Anyway, Tom Green. Very nice to see you. Very nice to meet you. Good for you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And speaking of tough and inspirational, here is someone else, singer-songwriter Dolly Parton. Yes, she's canceled her Las Vegas residency for health concerns, but she's not giving up. 11-time Grammy winner Dolly Parton has taken to Instagram to discuss the news.
Well, hey there, it's Dolly, and I'm here to give you an update on a few things going on in my life. First, it's concerning my health, and I have some good news and a little bad news. But the good news is I'm responding really well to meds and treatments, and I'm improving every day. Now, the bad news is it's going to take me a little while, before I'm up to stage performance level, because some of the meds and treatments make me a little bit swimmy-headed, as my grandma used to say. And, of course, I can't be dizzy carrying around banjos, guitars, and such on 5-inch heels. And you know that I'm going to be wearing them.
Dolly has struggled in the past with kidney stones. She postponed her first Vegas residency in September because of health issues. The 80-year-old singer appears to be in good spirits. She even jokes that plastic surgeons can make a person look good on the outside, but not the inside. Dolly expects to be back on stage soon. No exact date has been set for her return, but I'm rooting for an early date. Coming up, did he know he was a winner? I ask when the record continues.
Oil isn't the only resource hit hard by global events. American farmers are sounding the alarm by fertilizer prices at planting season. Will this disrupt our food supply? Raising prices cause shortages? I'm not waiting to find out, and neither should you. Go to mypatriotsupply.com, get a 3-month emergency food supply. They'll include $200 worth of extra survival protein absolutely free. After serving more than 3 million American families since 2008, you can trust mypatriotsupply.com. Go to mypatriotsupply.com.
Are you looking for true financial freedom? Then you're in the right place. If you are a business owner, part of the military community, or a hardworking American building for your family, your path to wealth is unique. At Siebert Financial, we get it. That's why we offer tailor-made investment guidance. We've been doing this for more than 55 years. Start your path to financial freedom today. Talk to our dedicated team at Siebert Financial.
I've been using Experian Boost to help raise my credit scores, but Experian Boost is even better because now my monthly insurance payments could help boost my scores too. It does it instantly and it's free. So get it through the Experian app.
Thanks to Jointivia, I'm back in the swing of things. Wait, $70 for a refill?
You gotta try Single Care. Just look up your prescription, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and save.
See why more people are saving with Single Care.
Hi, I'm Troy Aikman. I've always loved football and music, and that's what led me to Venue, one of the fastest growing publicly traded entertainment companies. Now they're offering Fire Suites, absolute triple net real estate delivering an 11% annual return paid monthly. Simple, predictable, passive income. Visit investvenue.com to learn more.
Before Apoquel Chewable for allergic itch, giving dogs pills was a battle of wits.
Oh, Maria, I'm wise to your foolish game.
Is it gone?
Totally gone.
Relief for itchy dogs can be easier. Apoquel, the trusted #1 treatment for allergic itch, is available in a tasty chewable that works fast.
May cause worsening of existing parasitic skin infestations, serious infections, or pre-existing cancers. New neoplasias have been observed. Do not use in dogs under 12 months of age with serious infections or in breeding, pregnant, or lactating dogs.
Ask your vet for Apoquel Chewable.
Do it!
When we started Allegiance, we were shocked to learn how many American flags are actually made overseas.
If there's one thing that deserves to be made here in America, it should start with the American flag.
At Allegiance, we do it differently. Flags 100% made in America, by Americans, with American materials.
Join our pledge to make the American flag truly American.
Visit showallegiance.com to get your high-quality American flag today. That's showallegiance.com.
What a thrill, an absolute thrill. The Kentucky Derby made history this year. Drum roll, please. Okay, that was not exactly a drum roll, but it was close, and it was so much better. That is the trainer of the winning horse, Golden Tempo. He was in last place as he made the final turn, but nothing was stopping him. He decided to win, and he did, beating out all the favorites to become the nation's favorite. He beat Renegade, with whom he shares a common ancestor, Triple Crown winner Secretariat. Here's another fun fact. Those two horses had jockeys who were brothers. But it was the trainer of the winning horse, Golden Tempo, who made this race particularly historic, Cherie Devaux, the first female trainer to win the Kentucky Derby, and she joins me. It's a race that's been going on for 152 years. The Kentucky Derby winning horse trainer joins me right now. Nice to talk to you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's very exciting for women, very exciting for the horse racing world. Everything about it was great. Did your horse know he'd won?
I think he knows now. He's been getting a lot more attention than usual and a lot more fanfare. But you know, he's the kind of horse that comes from, he's what we call a deep closer, and he had to really run to get up there. So I'm thinking he knows he did something special.
What was it about him? Why did he wait sort of till almost the end to just sort of take off like a bullet and win?
That's just how he's run his whole career. We've outfitted him with blinkers, which is the hood with the little plastic cups that he's wearing there, to try to get him just a bit more engaged with the field. But he likes to hang in the back, and then luckily for him, he's got a really nice closing kick. He comes like with a ferocious run, and so you know we've tried to do a few changes, but we're going to leave him be with what he likes to do.
Well, I mean, you must have been pretty nervous with him not being in first place for so long. And I teased you by calling it a drum roll, but obviously, the excitement was, incredible. But weren't you nervous as he was in last place?
Well, it's characteristic for him. I was nervous with how far back he was, spotting a field in this country's premier race, giving himself so much to do. But more when I was watching the race, I'm watching the complexity of the race unfold in front of him. So what he needs is a hot pace. So they have to be going really fast in front of him. And what we say, they come back to him, they get tired. And horses like him and Renegade, the horse that finished second, it gives them an opportunity to they're accelerating while everyone else is backing up and slowing down. So, harrowing when he was that far back, but not unexpected.
Does he know you?
He knows me. He knows that I come and give him lots of treats, and he loves to be scratched. So he knows that I'm the one that comes and gives him a lot of spoiling, and that's before he even did this big feat.
What's the training regimen? How do you train a horse to do this?
So a lot of times they come in as 2-year-olds, and every horse develops on their own timeline. And my job as a trainer is to keep an eye on the nuances of each individual horse. So when he's ready to be pushed along in his training, we push him along, and then we're watching him physically and mentally, making sure that he's responding to that training. And if there's any little hiccups, like he's not having a great day, his energy's not where it should be, or he has a little inflammation somewhere, then we have to taper it down. So we get him in, it's baby steps, and the first couple months of them, it's just really trying to figure out what they're doing. We're getting them fit, they're growing, and we want to make sure that all of that is going all together. And we're not pushing them too much when they're not ready, and we're pushing them appropriately when they can handle it. And then when they start running, then they figure it out.
Do you think he loves to run? I mean, do these horses, love to do this? Do you have that sense?
Most of them do. I can't speak for some of them. For all of them, some of them, I've retired some that have never run because it was apparent that they'd rather have a second career. But these horses they love what they're doing. They're bred for this. We have to act responsibly and advocate for them so that, we're not pushing them or making them do something that they don't want to be doing. So I'd say the majority of them do want to run. That's what they're bred for. They're bred to hold up to this type of training. But with the flip side, not every horse wants to be a racehorse, and we have to advocate for them and find them safe, responsible homes.
Have you made the decision, or maybe it's automatic or whatever, whether he'll race in the Preakness and then on to the Belmont?
We're going to let him, Golden Tempo, dictate that decision. They always get a couple easy days after they run, so he's going to go back to the track tomorrow. We're going to keep an eye on his energy level, see how he's jogging up, see how he looks on the track, and then we'll make a decision. We're trying to go for Target Thursday for that. The Pimlico is a little bit short. It's a 16th of a mile shorter than the Kentucky Derby, so he would have to be doing better and showing more energy, just because he needed every inch of that racetrack to get there. So we'll decide. Go ahead.
And you can actually tell his energy level. You can see that, the difference in energy level.
Yes, so he's always been really calm, cool, and collected when he has went out to the track. He's never been naughty. A lot of them are like teenagers and teenage boys in a locker room. And he's never been like that. And then the week of the Derby, he was trying to become, we'll call it very friendly with my pony horse, where he was nickering at him and he's kind of jumping around. And so when they're doing well, it's kind of they start to show the signs.
Well, Cherie, thank you very much for joining me. And it's always fun to have a woman break a glass ceiling for the rest of us. So that's fun. And I do hope, if he does compete, I hope he's as much of a star at the Preakness as he was at the Kentucky Derby. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Coming up, it's hard for the average person to make time to go to the gym. Does President Trump find that time? That when the record continues.
Hey, I'm Carl Higby from Newsmax. Look, I'm unapologetically pro-American, and honestly, this is the one place that lets me call it how it is. I'm not holding back. I'll give it to you straight every single night.
Dale, you really need to get that colon cancer screening.
Yeah, it's been forever.
Dale, we can do it with just a blood test. Shield.
Shield is for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk for colon cancer. Ask your doctor about FDA-approved Shield.
Hey, I'm Dr. Drupinski. I've been looking at the aging process for a long time. Fatty 15 actually slows it down. Fatty 15 comes out of Navy dolphin research. Without the C15, our cells become fragile and age and oxidize. This pushes that back. That's why I take Fatty 15.
Doctors say having a medical emergency kit is like having an urgent care and pharmacy at home. Let me bring in Dr. McCullough to explain more.
Most people know when they're getting sick, but waiting to see a doctor is often too late.
So the key is having medicines before you need them.
Yes, and it includes doctor-prescribed medicines to treat common and serious issues like generic Z-Pak, amoxicillin, antibiotics, antivirals for flu, pneumonia, strep, ear and sinus infections, UTIs, and more.
So it is like having an urgent care at home.
Exactly. No waiting, no pharmacy, no copays. You feel better faster and avoid serious complications and hospitalizations.
How do you know what to take?
Just match your symptoms to the doctor-written guide or schedule a quick telehealth call.
Great advice. I understand ordering is fast online, and we've put the website and $45 off code on the screen. Thank you, doctor.
Visit urgentcarekit.com/news, promo code news.
Hi, I'm Sally with sellmypolicy.com, the fast concierge service here to help you sell your life insurance policy for cash now. Our experienced team makes it fast and easy for you to get your offer. Use the money however you want. Cover healthcare costs, pay off debt, or take the trip of a lifetime. Use the funds for supplemental retirement income, investments, or home improvements, or give money to loved ones now rather than later. John sold his policy for $590,000 in cash, which he used to pay for health care. And Cheryl sold her policy for $90,000 in cash and used it to supplement her retirement income. If you are over 65 with a life insurance policy of $100,000 of coverage up to $50 million of coverage, then you may qualify. With Sell My Policy, some people choose to sell all or just part of their policy so they can access cash now while also keeping coverage in place for their loved ones.
It's easy to find out what your policy could be worth today. Call 800-961-7355. That's 800-961-7355. Or visit sellmypolicy.com.
Why lapse or surrender your policy? Sell it and you can stop making premium payments. You may receive substantially more cash than what your insurance carrier will offer. Plus, you'll get paid fast. Arthur sold his policy for $84,000 in cash, which he used to help reduce his debt. SellMyPolicy.com has a large network of funders. That means more money in your pocket. If you or a loved one has a policy, call now. Trusted by seniors, there's no obligation to sell. Find out what your policy is worth today.
Talk with a policy expert now to see how much cash you could receive. Call 800-961-7355. That's 800-961-7355. Or visit sellmypolicy.com. Sellmypolicy.com.
You know this, President Trump loves golf. And according to champion Bryson DeChambeau, Trump is a great golfer. But when he's not golfing, does the leader of the free world work out? Here's what Trump said earlier today, coincidentally, while hosting DeChambeau at the White House.
It is indeed a beautiful day to celebrate America's athletic traditions and champions in physical fitness and all of those things that I work so hard at on a personal basis. I work out so much, like about 1 minute a day max, if I'm lucky.
Trump made those remarks while signing an order to bring back the Presidential Fitness Test Award. From 1966 to 2012, this award was given to kids who passed certain athletic requirements like push-ups, pull-ups, and running. So what will Trump's Fitness Award for Kids now include? DeChambeau and the rest of the President's Fitness Council are working on that. But when I was in grade school, we got a certificate signed by the President and a patch. After today's signing, Trump took the kids out on South Lawn of the White House compound to play some golf, of course. And thank you for watching. Ed Henry, The Big Take is next. Stay with Newsmax.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.